It all started on a rainy Tuesday morning. I had woken up late for work because my alarm hadn't gone off. The sky was gray, clouds heavy and low, and the streets glistened with wet asphalt. I grabbed my coat, spilled my coffee on the counter, and realized my car keys were missing. Panic immediately set in because I had an important meeting with my manager that could affect my promotion. I searched the entire house, lifting couch cushions, shaking my bag, retracing my steps from the previous day. Eventually, I found the keys under the dog bed, of all places. Feeling relieved, I grabbed my umbrella and rushed out. Traffic was worse than usual. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry, their faces tense behind the rain-smeared windows. I had taken this route 100 times before, but today, I was on edge. My phone buzzed with a message from my colleague, Julia, asking if I could pick up a package from her place because she was stuck at home. I agreed without thinking. It would only take 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes turned into 20 because I accidentally got onto the wrong street and ended up in a neighborhood I had never seen before. My GPS glitched, and I had no signal. Then it happened. A simple mistake, a turn I didn't mean to take, led me straight into a narrow alley where a car was parked halfway across the lane. I slammed on the brakes and realized too late that my rear bumper had clipped the corner of their car. My heart sank. The car was beautiful, a deep blue Mercedes with a custom plate. The driver, a young man in a suit, was stepping out and his face changed instantly from surprise to anger. "I'm so sorry," I shouted, but he didn't respond immediately. His eyes were sharp, assessing the damage. I could see a small dent forming, scratches that hadn't been there before. He started taking pictures of the car, muttering something under his breath. My hands shook, and I apologized again, feeling completely responsible. This was the kind of situation that could ruin your day, your week, or even your life if insurance got involved. "I'll call my insurance," I said, trying to sound calm even though my voice quivered. But the man didn't wait for me to finish. Instead, he looked at me strangely, then asked, "Are you okay? You seem upset." His tone softened slightly. I nodded, embarrassed. He sighed and said, "Listen, accidents happen. Let's just handle this calmly. What's your name?" It was then that I realized something. I hadn't even asked his name. He introduced himself as Ryan. He didn't yell, didn't blame me excessively, and for some reason, that simple kindness started to make me feel a little less guilty. I explained how I had been distracted, late for work, and just trying to help a friend. He listened without interrupting. I offered to pay for the damages directly, but he suggested we take it through insurance to make things official. As we waited for the tow truck and the insurance adjuster, we talked. Surprisingly, we had a lot in common. Both of us worked in media, both had recently moved to the city, and both were navigating the challenges of starting over in a new place. I felt a strange sense of relief, considering how stressful the situation had started. A simple mistake, something I feared would ruin everything, was slowly turning into an unexpected connection. By the time the adjuster arrived, rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and clean. Ryan laughed when he saw the paperwork and said, "You know, this could have been so much worse. Honestly, I appreciate how upfront you've been. Most people would try to avoid responsibility." I felt a surge of gratitude. His kindness, even in the face of a mistake I had made, was incredible. We exchanged numbers before parting ways, and I went to work feeling strangely lighter, as if carrying guilt wasn't necessary when someone else could respond with understanding. At the office, I realized I had missed half the morning and had a mountain of emails. My manager was surprisingly calm, and the promotion discussion we had scheduled was still on. I couldn't stop thinking about Ryan, about how a simple mistake had led to a real human connection in a world where everyone seemed to rush past each other. By the end of the day, I received a text from him, "Thanks for being honest today. Let's grab coffee sometime." My heart skipped. I didn't know it then, but this small incident, something I had feared would spiral into disaster, was going to change my life in ways I couldn't imagine. The simple mistake of taking the wrong turn had opened a door I hadn't expected, teaching me that kindness and honesty could turn even the most stressful situations into opportunities for growth, connection, and perhaps something even deeper. The next day, I met Ryan for coffee at a small cafe near the river. The air was crisp, the sun barely peeking through gray clouds. When I saw him, he smiled warmly, a stark contrast to the tension of our first meeting. We talked about everything: the city, our jobs, our families, dreams, and fears. I realized how rare it was to meet someone who listened without judgment, someone who could take a situation that started negatively and make it feel positive. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and I kept in touch. Every message, every call, reminded me of the strange chain of events that had brought us together. I started to reflect on that day, the wrong turn, the rain, the dent, and how it all could have gone badly. Yet, it hadn't. Instead, it had led to laughter, shared stories, and a growing trust. I understood then how fragile life could be, how a small mistake could be a catalyst for change. One evening, Ryan invited me to an event he was hosting at a local art gallery. I hesitated at first. After all, we had only known each other a short time, but curiosity won. The gallery was alive with creativity, the walls adorned with paintings that told stories as vivid as the one that had started our friendship. Ryan introduced me to several of his colleagues, and I realized how welcoming he was, always thinking about others even when his own life was busy. As we walked around, he confided that he had been stressed about a major presentation at work, something that could make or break his career. I listened and offered advice when I could, but more importantly, I just encouraged him. Later, he admitted that seeing me handle my own stressful week, dealing with my mistake honestly and calmly, had inspired him to face his own challenges differently. That made me realize something profound: kindness, honesty, and patience ripple outward in ways we often don't anticipate. Weeks turned into months, and our bond deepened. What had started as a stressful accident grew into a partnership based on trust and respect. Every time I thought about that rainy Tuesday, I felt gratitude instead of guilt. That day had been a turning point. A simple mistake had introduced me to someone who became a significant part of my life, someone who taught me that how we respond to challenges often defines the outcome more than the challenges themselves. Eventually, Ryan and I started working on a creative project together, a small documentary about ordinary people making extraordinary choices. It felt fitting because it mirrored our own story. We laughed about how a dented bumper had brought us together, how a minor mishap had turned into one of the best things that had ever happened to us. Life, I realized, was full of these moments, and often, it's the mistakes that shape the most beautiful outcomes. Reflecting back, I understood the lesson clearly: mistakes aren't just setbacks, they are opportunities. They test our patience, honesty, and resilience, but they also reveal the kindness in others and the strength in ourselves. If I had panicked, if I had blamed Ryan or hidden the truth, none of this would have happened. It was the combination of my honesty and his compassion that turned a stressful incident into a life-changing experience. One rainy morning, almost exactly a year later, I walked past that same street. The memory of that wrong turn was vivid, yet it no longer felt like a mistake. I smiled, thinking about how far I had come and how much my life had changed. Ryan texted me at that moment, "Coffee later. I found a place that just opened by the river." I laughed. I knew that a simple act, a wrong turn, an honest apology, and a kind response, had changed everything, and every day since then, I felt the impact of that small but profound moment. It was more than a story about a mistake. It was about how humans connect, how kindness can turn fear into relief, stress into laughter, and accidents into life-changing experiences. That single Tuesday, the rain, the dented car, and the unexpected encounter were now the cornerstone of a story I would tell forever. A story proving that even the smallest mistakes, when met with honesty and compassion, can lead to extraordinary transformations.